Alright, so now that I'm done covering Ichigo Kurosaki, we can move on to another group of characters, and as you guys can clearly tell by the title, the next group of characters we're going to be covering are the Espadas. It was kind of a toss-up between the Espadas and the Gote 13, but since the Espadas not only have less members in the Gote 13, but they all appeared in one arc, they're just going to be far more easier to cover, so we're going to be doing them for about the next couple of weeks, and then we'll move on to the Gote 13. These videos are also going to serve as the basis on how I'm going to be covering characters in the future, because not doing the speed and the strength in the same video was really stupid on my part. So basically I'm going to go over how powerful the character is, how fast they are, and any abilities that they might have. Now, Aaroniero might actually be one of the easiest members of the Espada to cover, because once he enters his Resurrection, he states that he has the power of 33,650 hollows, which all you need to do is take that number, multiply it by the average hollow, and you'd be able to figure out how powerful and how fast Resurrected Aaroniero would be, and then you could take your result, divide it by 10, and you could figure out how powerful base Aaroniero would be.
The incident occurred outside Paraguay Station just after 7:30 a.m. as the morning commute was getting into full swing. Witnesses reported hearing a loud crash and feeling the ground shake beneath their feet. The entire area has been cordoned off. Further details.
Hey.
Good morning, Ichigo.
Morning. Where's Dad?
Early meeting. Said he'd be late tonight, too.
Again, huh?
Explosives experts are reportedly on the scene.
So we'll be operating under the assumption that the average hollow that Aaroniero was able to absorb would be around building level, which would take around 1 ton of force. You multiply that by 33,650, and you would have Aaroniero coming out to being 33,650 tons of force, which would also be 33.7 kilotons, or town level. This does actually match up with the scaling of the series, as Toshido was pretty shook at fighting these Arrancar. You know, he was pretty shook. He's like, oh, if Aizen has 10 Arrancar, we're completely screwed. And then, you know, Aaroniero, being the weakest member of Aizen's Espada, is hitting town level, which is around the level of the captains at that point in the series. This does match up with the scaling. For those of you that are curious, if you take 33.7 kilotons, you divide it by 10, you'd have 3.37 kilotons of force, which is around small town level. So the base, like Cayenne Aaroniero that we saw fight Rukia, or I guess spar with Rukia, would still be around small town level. So even in his base state, he's no joke. Just wanted to kind of clear that up real quick. Now, speed for Aaroniero is pretty interesting, because you could use the same formula to figure out how fast Aaroniero is, you know, taking how fast an average hollow is and multiplying it by 33,650. However, Aaroniero does actually have a feat that might put him above the speed of light. I know you guys are probably more interested in that juicy, faster than light Aaroniero feat, so I'm going to go ahead and do this calc real quick. If you say the average hollow is Mach 1, or the speed of sound, and Aaroniero is 33,650 times above that, he would be Mach 33,650. If you divide that by Mach 287, which is the speed of lightning, Resurrected Aaroniero would be 117 times the speed of lightning, and base Aaroniero, you know, dividing by 10 would be 11.7 times the speed of lightning. So even if you don't want to take this faster than light thing as, you know, to heart, he's still pretty quick. Now, the faster than light feat comes from when Rukia blows a hole in the wall of Aarioniero's castle, and it allows light to come through, and Aaroniero sees that there's a hole in the wall and moves out of the way before the light can touch him. And we know the light has not touched Aaroniero, because, you know, as soon as he gets hit by sunlight, he starts dissolving and starts melting and stuff. So if you really wanted to say that, oh, he moved before the light could touch him, you could try to argue that Aaroniero is actually faster than light. However, even if you don't want to put a lot of stock into Aaroniero being faster than light, being 117 times faster than lightning in his Resurrection and 11.7 times faster than lightning in his base form is still really fast. It's nothing to laugh at. Now, as for Aarioniero's abilities, he does tell Rukia that he's a Gillion that does not possess the necessary abilities to be an Espada, so from that we can assume he doesn't have things like Gran Recero, Pesquisa, Hierro, but he should still be able to use moves like the regular Seto, as even base Menos can use Seto, and we know he can use Sonido. So as for his abilities, he really doesn't have a whole lot going on. Even his Zanpakuto ability, Gluttonaria, is pretty useless in combat. The whole point behind it is that he can absorb other hollows and take their abilities, but if he's fighting in combat, if he's going to consume his opponent, that's only going to be after the battle is won. So really, Aaroniero is just a big beef stick. And that's all that I have for you guys. I'm sorry for this one being a little shorter, but there's really not that much to talk about with Aaroniero. Like, as I said, he's pretty easy to cover, and his abilities are pretty useless in combat, so I don't really want to dwell on those too much. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe. If you disagreed with anything, I have a public Discord that you can come debate me on. And with that being said, you guys have yourselves a nice day. I'm out of here. Peace late, guys.